Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. And fired up that you're starting your work week out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We got lots to get to, as is usually the case here on a Monday after a weekend. LSU basketball loses to Alabama. We'll talk about it. The championship games in the National Football League were decided yesterday, unfortunately, for those of us pulling for the Washington Commanders. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later. I was able to get to the box yesterday, got some reaction to the scrimmage in the first weekend that was for LSU baseball as they get ready for the opener in about 3 weeks. Elijah Haven, number one player in the country, number one quarterback in the country by some sites right here in Baton Rouge as a sophomore at the Dunham School, has a new NIL deal. We'll talk about that in hour number 2. So tons and tons to get to over the next couple of hours. Lock it in, like us in, wherever you may be. We'll start today the same way we start every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, the Saints now are the only team in the NFL without a head coach. I'm not actually 100% certain as I sit here that Dallas has introduced their new head coach, but we understand where things are. The Saints are the only team, honestly, left searching for a head coach. We got news over the weekend that Joe Brady said thanks, but no thanks. We feel like Cliff Kingsbury has echoed that, although we're not 100% certain. Maybe the Saints can make that happen. Kellen Moore's name jumped up into the list. It's been reported that the Saints will fly to Philadelphia to meet with Kellen Moore today. He's got some business to attend to, coincidentally in New Orleans in 2 weeks, but the Saints will talk to the Eagles offensive coordinator before he prepares for the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Certainly Darren Rizzi's name still very much in play. Anthony Weaver's name still in play. Mike Kafka's name still in play. A lot going on. And in the general sentiment over the weekend, when the report was issued that Joe Brady would not come to an interview and that Aaron Glenn did not come interview, and that those are two that have actually spent time in New Orleans and didn't even take the time to try to see what it was about in the Crescent City, everyone said, well, this is a disaster. And I'm not here to tell you that it's not. I don't know enough about those conversations to give a final take on that. Here is what I will say. I don't really care about the process in a coaching search. That applies to the Saints head coach, the Saints offensive coordinator. That applies to LSU's football coach or the women's basketball coach. That applies to any coaching search, period. The process is not all that interesting to me. The result is what's interesting. That sounds obvious, but a better way to say it is I'm not that concerned with the optics, because I've seen really, really poorly run coaching searches from the outside yield a positive result, and I've seen buttoned-up operations absolutely whiff. You can go across all sports for that. I'm not that interested in it. Yes, I will sit here right now on this Monday and say, it doesn't look great for New Orleans. But at the same time, that doesn't mean they can't get the right head coach. Here's a fact. Whoever gets this job, it's going to be a tough one. And that is the position that New Orleans put itself in because of a few years of mismanagement. This was going to be a difficult job for Mike McCarthy, for Darren Rizzi, for Aaron Glenn. This would be a difficult job for Andy Reid. Are we in agreement that Andy Reid's the best coach in the NFL right now? And pick your name. You want to talk about Sean McVay? You want to do Kyle Shanahan? You want to go with Mike Tomlin? You want to go with Andy Reid? I don't really care who you go with. Whoever you brought in to run this operation for the next 2 years, it's going to be really difficult. And that has put you in a difficult spot as far as hiring a coach. I don't think that is a difficult thing to reason. What I would suggest, though, is that let's just see what the result is. That's more interesting than me. It would be easy for me to sit here and play talking head and rant and rave and go nuts about how the organization is in the dumpster and Loomis is a disaster and the Saints look like fools and they're the laughingstock of the NFL, and I could go on, and that'd probably be a great radio segment. But the fact of the matter is that I don't feel that way. I feel like it's a hard job. I feel like the Saints are not rushing to anything. I feel like they have some candidates on the table. They need to talk to everybody and try to make the best decision they can for the future of the organization. And I'm not here to just sit here and cast aspersions or laugh and point. It's just that's not the way that I'm wired, and that's not the way I think about this. I think the Saints head coaching job is a tough job. I think the optics are not very good after this weekend. I don't think that means that the franchise is doomed for the next decade. They've got to figure out who's got the chops to come into a locker room that's aging, that's got expensive players, that's going to have to go through probably one more really tough season, and then start to see the light on the other side. And you've got to find the guy who's capable of emerging on the other side of it. That's what you're looking for. Now, hopefully, and we'll never know this because Mickey Loomis is not going to say anything in a press conference. What he does say on the record doesn't reflect this. What we have to hope is that the Saints do understand that they're in a tough spot, and they do understand they need a certain personality type to come in, take some lumps early, and try to get this thing up off the ground. It's a comparison we have made far too often, but it just makes too much sense not to compare it to what Detroit has done over the last 3 seasons. Remember, Dan Campbell got off to a terrible start, but it's easy now to look back and say that's a guy who's okay with that because he's going to connect with the players, because he's going to be a positive influence, because he's going to do and say all the right things, and then you got to trust him to put the right guys around, and then you've got to trust the organization to continue to draft properly and to use the money properly in free agency, and it turned around. Houston's done the same thing. They were cycling through coaches every 12 months over there in Houston. And they weren't winning any games, but they've hit on draft picks. And they got the right coach in there who instilled the right mindset in the organization, and they're starting to see the other side of it. It's not a quick fix. This is not going to be a 5-win team to a 14-win team because you got the right guy next year. This is going to be a process, and that's what you have to understand if you're the Saints here. So does it look great right now that they don't have a coach? No. Is it the end of the world? It's not. Who's to say Joe Brady was ready for this? Who's to say Mike McCarthy, who's been a perennial playoff coach for the last 15 years, is ready to come in and take some lumps? Who's to say Kellen Moore can't do it? Who's to say Anthony Weaver's not the right guy to be what Dan Campbell was in Detroit? Right now, I'm not. So I feel like while this is a very, very soft take, a cool take, if you will, I feel like everybody else is jumping on the sizzling hot take, so I'm actually kind of zigging when everyone zags. Just let's see how it works. Let's see what the result is. The process doesn't look great, but that's not the most important thing. So we'll see what happens when the Saints meet with Kellen Moore. He's going to be a little bit busy. You got a little bit more flexibility with Mike McCarthy, who's out of a job, with Anthony Weaver, whose team's been done for a month. You got time with Mike Kafka. There's a report out there that he wants to bring Wink Martindale, and all that is important. Before I jump down the Saints' throat or go nuts about what's going on right now, let's just be patient. I talked to you on Friday, and I said the Saints are in a pretty good spot because everybody else is kind of butting theirs up. The Saints' prime candidates have only been whittled down by one. That's Aaron Glenn. Okay, let's see. There are no sure things in a coaching hire. And candidly, most of them don't work. Most head coaching hires in the NFL don't work. It's very rare to have a coach that sticks for 8-10 years, is a perennial playoff team, wins a Super Bowl. That doesn't happen very often. Mike Tomlin's the outlier. Sean McVay right now is the outlier. Andy Reid's very much the outlier. Fact is that most of the time, you cycle through another one in 3 or 4 years. And it feels like if you're betting, that's where the Saints will be because of the state of the organization. But you've got to try to find that next guy. And you don't have to rush to it because everybody on the internet says that you're striking out. That's kind of where you are. And so we'll let this play out. I told you last week, I thought if the Saints made a head coaching hire last week, it would be Aaron Glenn. If they did not, it would be Joe Brady. Feels like that's wrong. Now, I'll give you my Monday statement for Friday's week. I think the Saints will have a head coach by Friday. I think they're going to interview 4 or 5 guys this week. I think during that interview process, they'll understand where they are and who that one is going to be. And I think by Friday, you got somebody at the podium. That's my guess. And I'll react accordingly. If all the guys on this list turn the Saints down, okay, we can start to ease towards that panic button. But just because Joe Brady said I'm good coaching Josh Allen doesn't mean the Saints organization is doomed for half a decade. We'll see. That's our Genesis opening drive. Every car on the lot online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. We come back. LSU goes to Alabama. Football player made the play of the day, but it came up short. I'll give you my thoughts on LSU's loss in Coleman Coliseum. That's coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com is the website. Quite simply put, they're experts in the coverage part of insurance. There are a lot of folks, a lot of companies that will try to win on price in the insurance game. And you can play that game if you want. Highland Insurance Group's not going to be a magic bullet for you on price. What they are going to do is analyze your policies, understand where you need to be placed. They're an independent broker. That means they've got access to dozens of markets for all of your commercial lines of insurance. And they can make sure you're placed in the right place with the right coverages. You need to make sure your limits are right. Make sure all your coverages line up with what you're actually doing. If you haven't given that a lot of time because you just flip to the back page of the proposal and point to the premium, maybe take a different approach. Because once that event happens, once that claim happens, and you're not covered, it's a bad, bad place to be. The Highland Insurance Group can help you make sure that doesn't happen. Go to highlandig.com, chat with Jonathan Carbo and his team. You'll see what makes them a wonderful group to do business with. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at highlandig.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Ochsner, We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Talk about the NFL Conference Championship games coming up here in a few minutes, plus my thoughts on LSU baseball over the weekend. Got out to see their scrimmage yesterday. If you want to read about the scrimmage, you can at louisianasports.net. Click on the LSU tab, and it'll be right there for you to take in. They played 5 innings yesterday. It was one of those deals yesterday, and I'll get into this in about 30 minutes, where the guys that we expect to pitch high leverage innings for LSU pitched on Friday and Saturday, and Sunday was kind of the lower end of the pitching staff. So not a lot of big names out there, but some interesting things that I took away as well. So we'll talk about that in about half an hour. Weird game in Tuscaloosa on Saturday between LSU and Alabama. Beck and I were conversing on Friday about what we thought the point spread would be, because it doesn't come out until game day, and I kind of thought it would be upward, like pushing 20. Turned out it was 17.5. And LSU easily covered that. LSU only lost the game by 7 points. And what I wrote on louisianasports.net after the game was over was like, LSU fought hard. They played tough. They were physical. They never really threatened to win the game. I mean, let me look at the scoring. LSU never really got close. I mean, they were within 5 with 4 minutes to go, but then immediately Alabama went on a 7-0 run that made it 13. So 8-0 run to make it 13. So, I mean, you're down 13 with 2.5 minutes to go. You're not going to win that game. But they played tough, and that's not going to be good enough at LSU. Like, this is not a moral victory spot. What I will say about it is if they play like that, and what I mean by play like that, I mean get on the backboards. Corey Chest was an animal on the glass. He goes out there and gets 18 rebounds, 9 on the offensive end. LSU got 17 offensive rebounds and won the rebounding battle. The turnovers weren't a disaster. They turned it over 14 times, but you're talking about playing against the fastest team in college basketball. You extrapolate that out, you probably played 6 or 7, 8 extra possessions, and maybe that's closer to like a 12 turnover game. That's not the end of the world. Alabama took LSU's turnovers and scored 14 points off them. Like, that's not great, but it's not a disaster. And you saw Jordan Sears score some points. He scored 21 points and helped out Cam Carter. That's really LSU's only punch. Try to take care of the ball a little bit better. You've got to rebound better than you have. You need another player to step up and score some points in Cam Carter's stead. And that's your chance to stay in games. And they did that. They played good defense. They held Alabama to 80 points. That's the highest scoring team in college basketball. They're frequently scoring 100 points. In fact, they've scored 100 points more than any team in 75 years. So it was a solid effort that, if it's replicated, can produce some wins down the road. But here is a bugaboo that is no longer like, they need to get a little better. They're just bad at it, and it's a disaster. They can't shoot the three. They're the worst three-point shooting team in the SEC, and they went 3 of 23 from three-point range in this game. You're just not going to beat anybody if you go 3 for 23 from three-point range, especially considering the fact you don't have anybody in the front court who you can throw it down to and initiate offense. So you have to do your scoring from the perimeter. And when Cam Carter goes 1 of 7 and Jordan Sears goes 1 of 6 and Mike Williams goes 1 of 6, and those are your main 3 guards, you're talking about making 3 out of 19 threes. It's just a loser. If you shot 6 for 23, which I don't even know what that percentage is, but I'll type it up, 6 for 23 is not even that good. You're talking about 26%. You shoot 26%, you're within a bucket in this game. And they just haven't been able to do it. Jordan Sears was a a 42% three-point shooter at Tennessee Martin. That's excellent. He's about a 30% shooter at LSU. He's 12 points worse than he was at the mid-major level. And I get that. It's a faster game. You got bigger guards. He's a smaller player. It all makes sense, but you had to hope that he was going to be, and I don't mean to bang on Jordan Sears here. The guy scored 21 points. He made all 6 of his free throws. He dished out 6 assists. He played 29 minutes. He was plus 10 in the game. So this is far from a Jordan Sears is LSU's problem segment. He was awesome on Saturday against a really good team. But in a game where Cam Carter has to take 19 shots to score 17 points, like, you're just not going to be efficient enough on offense to get it done. And Chess tried with the offensive rebounds, and you got 14 second chance points. You had 6 dunks. You scored 40 points in the paint. I mean, LSU won a lot of statistics in the game. LSU made more field goals than Alabama, got more field goals up than Alabama. They out-rebounded Alabama. They had 17 offensive rebounds to Bama's 11. They had more second chance points. They had more paint points. Fast breaks were a wash. LSU had more steals. Like, they played Alabama fairly straight up, but you shot it so poorly it didn't matter. And ultimately, you only scored 33 points in the second half. And I will go out on a limb, and I will say that no one is going to score 33 points in a half against Alabama and beat them. They're too good on offense. Now, I can't just leave this segment alone without getting to, and to use a bad pun accidentally, but it just popped into my head, the elephant in the room for Alabama. Mark Sears didn't play in the second half. And to me, I'm not in the locker room. I watched Nate Oates' post-game press conference where he was asked about it and said, yeah, we played the guys we thought gave us the best chance to win. To me, and I'm trying to read this from afar, he said, yeah, Sears is our best player. He's our heartbeat. He's not playing well. He's 0 of 5 from the floor. He's turned it over twice. And I can beat LSU without him, and I'm just going to send a message. That's what it felt like to me. Said, this is one of the spots at home against that team. I can sit him, drive home the fact that I don't like the way he's playing, and we'll still win the game. And they did. And, like, I was watching every dribble of the game. I didn't see anything that Mark Sears did that warranted him sitting the entire second half. He missed some shots and turned the ball over a couple times, but it wasn't like he got a technical for shoving somebody or didn't get back on defense. I don't really know what the issue was, and I certainly don't know if there was anything leading up to that would suggest that he needed to sit. But Mark Sears is he's up there with Janai Broome is probably the player of the year in the league, and for him to sit 20 minutes is a big deal in this game, and I certainly can't tell the story of this game without bringing that up. But if you're LSU, you hope the guys keep fighting because they really did fight in this game. They just didn't have enough from a shooting perspective to keep up and to elevate all the other things that they did really well. And that's a bummer because that's something you'd really like to have. The other piece to this that was certainly very interesting to everybody is that Trey'Dez Green did get out there and play some hoops for the first time in his collegiate career. What a spot to bring him into in Tuscaloosa against a top 5 team in the country. And it's crazy to me. One thing that was nuts was seeing how thin Trey'Dez Green looks on the football field. Look how slender he looks at the tight end position. And then seeing him go out on the basketball floor and he looks like Adonis. He's the biggest, most physical guy out there in the basketball side of things. But on the football side, you're like, man, he really needs to put some weight on. But he played hard. He was physical. LSU needs a physical presence with Jalen Reed out. You're talking about Damian Collins, who is 20 pounds lighter than Trey'Dez Green. Derek Fountain's not really a physical presence down there. Chess tries, but he's only 6'7", 6'8", like Trey'Dez Green. So he showed his athleticism. He got 3 rebounds. Of course, he made the highlight play of the game when he closed out on the three-point shooter, blocked the shot, picked it up on the bounce, and ran it out and slammed it. He's a freak of an athlete. I mean, just an absolute freak of an athlete. And so I wrote a piece on LouisianaSports.net today. I was like, how much can he help? And here are my thoughts on it. He can help. He's big enough and physical enough to rebound and help block shots. And LSU needs that because they don't have enough of that right now. They get beat on the glass quite frequently, and they don't protect the rim as well as they did in the non-conference against these lesser teams. And Trey'Dez Green can do some of that. That's stuff that doesn't take a lot of coaching and teaching. Offense, especially in LSU's system, does take time. LSU does not often come down the floor. They do this some, but not often come down the floor and get into a you go here, you go here, you go here set. They do it some, but not a lot. Most of LSU's offense is predicated on spreading the floor out, creating driving lanes, and using the floor spacing to dictate what you need to do next. You'll often see after LSU kind of tries something, they'll pull it back out. One of the offside post guy will come up and set a high screen and roll. Whoever's got the ball will try to make something happen, and that's all playing off of one another. And that takes time. And these guys have been doing it since June, and Trey'Dez Green has been doing it for 3 weeks. So offensively, while I do think Trey'Dez has probably more skill than you may imagine a big hulking tight end has on the basketball court. He scored 27 a game, and it wasn't all just dunks in his high school days, although a lot of it was being the best athlete on the floor. You've got to get into a little bit of a rhythm to play in this offensive system, and that may take a little bit of time. But the fact of the matter is that LSU needs Trey'Dez Green's 5 fouls. They need his rebounding ability. They need his athleticism. They need his physicality. So he played 9 minutes in the game on Saturday. I would anticipate that number will hover around that point and kind of get north of 15 minutes here and there. Depending on kind of how foul trouble goes. LSU didn't get into a ton of foul trouble in this game. Cam Carter is the only guy who got to 4 fouls, so that's a situation where at times Damian Collins may pick up a second foul. At times, you may decide you want to go to Trey'Dez Green if Corey Chest is in foul trouble. So it's he can help. It's not going to be this massive influx of scoring. He's not going to average 16 a game over the last 2 weeks of the season. But in a league that's really big and really athletic, Trey'Dez Green is really athletic and strong for this sport, and I think he can help. And I think that Matt McMahon will go to him at some point. So look, again, nobody gives a rip around here about moral victories with an LSU sporting event. And at this point, you can't speak to the program developing because there is no program. I don't know if any of these guys are on the team next year. I would guess Trey'Dez Green will be in school next year at LSU. Will he play basketball? I have no idea. And so you can't talk about building a program. It's just about this team. And this team right now is fighting it. They're outmanned just about every time they go out there. They're going to be big time outmanned on Wednesday in their own building. But they played tough, they fought hard, and they gave themselves a chance against a top 5 team in the country on the road. They were tied at halftime within 5 with 5 minutes to play, but they didn't shoot it good enough to get to the finish line. So you lose another ball game, and you're going to be a big dog coming up against Auburn coming up on Wednesday. So we'll talk about that one in a couple of days. But just a weird game. I candidly expected LSU to get beat by 25, 30 points in this game. They did not. It was weird to see Mark Sears sit on the bench the entire second half. It was surprising to me to see Trey'Dez Green play as much as he did. It was encouraging to see Jordan Sears score some points. It was great to see LSU work on the glass. Corey Chest, 18 rebounds is incredible stuff. Just not enough against a really, really good Alabama basketball team. So we'll leave that in the rearview mirror for now, and we'll transition back to football. Jaden Daniels' miraculous rookie season comes to an end. We'll talk about that in the Super Bowl matchup to come in New Orleans when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Nobody really likes maintenance on the car. Oftentimes, you got to go and sit in the service aisle, and it's kind of dirty and dingy, and you're wasting your time all morning long. When are they going to get to the car? It's just not a lot of fun. Well, they changed that at Genesis of Baton Rouge. It may not be the most fun in the world, but you don't have to worry about it because they're going to come to you. They're going to drop a car off to you. They'll take your car back to the dealership. They'll handle all the maintenance for 3 years. That's complimentary because of the purchase at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They'll deal with your air filters, oil changes, wiper fluids, all new wiper blades, all that, and they'll bring the car right back to you. So you don't waste your whole morning sitting there. It's a beautiful thing. It's part of the convenience of being a Genesis driver. If you've never seen the dealership, not sure where it is, well, it's on Airline right by Piku, right there across from Women's Hospital. Give them a try. Get on by, get behind the wheel, work with their team. Brand ambassadors are fantastic to work with, and they'll get you behind the wheel of a Genesis. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Magical season for Jaden Daniels comes to an end in the NFC Championship game. The Eagles hammer the Commanders in the fourth quarter, 21-0 in the fourth, and they run away 55-23 to reach their third Super Bowl in, I believe, 7 years, which has been quite a run there up in Philly. Washington has not tasted this type of success in a long, long time, and they got a taste. It was an incredible season. They won 12 regular season games, went on the road and beat Tampa, went on the road to the 1 seed and beat the Detroit Lions, and we're right there in this game with Philly. I mean, you're talking about a halftime score of 27-15, and you get a stop, and you've got an opportunity to draw within a score, but they just couldn't quite get over the hump. And ultimately, this game comes down to really one thing, and it sucks, and it's the coin that they were on the right side of a week prior and the wrong side of this week. You cannot turn the ball over 4 times and win in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen, especially when you're on the road, especially when you have a lesser roster. And that's not earth-shattering analysis by me. I did not tell you anything you didn't already know if you were watching that game, but it remains the number one point that I have to make in analyzing this game. You can't just keep fumbling the ball and win. And then you go for a 4th down there late and can't get it, and then Jaden's finally picked there at the end. The play of the day was clearly outside of the fumbles. The 4th down when Washington looks like they're going to get a stop and Jalen Hurts drops it absolutely in the bucket to A.J. Brown down the left sideline. Just a big-time play by a quarterback that wins a ton of football games, and that allowed Philadelphia to continue with its momentum, put more points on the board, and keep Washington at an arm's length until they could finally pull away. As far as Jaden goes, I thought he did what he could do. He throws for 255 and a score. He carried it 6 times for 48 yards and a score. The interception was late, kind of in desperation time. I thought he did everything he could do, and his teammates really let him down by just simply dropping the football. You can't drop kickoff returns. You can't drop the ball in the middle of the field, Austin Eckler, when you're trying to get up when catching a pass. It was just crippling mistakes that Washington continued to make, and they're just not good enough to go on the road and withstand that. And ultimately, Philadelphia ran the ball exceptionally well, 229 yards on the ground. The first play of the game sets the tone for Philadelphia offensively, with Saquon going 60 yards for a touchdown. You knew that was going to be a problem. We gave you that statistic back on Friday about how Saquon had busted 3 really long runs for touchdowns on Washington. But other than that, they had really done a good job of bottling him up and limiting him to 2 yards or less. But they couldn't do that in the game on Sunday afternoon. Saquon averages 8 yards a carry with that 60-yarder. Will Shipley had a 57-yarder. Jalen Hurts got in the mix and ran for 3 touchdowns. You had the crazy goings-on at the goal line with the tush-push situation that were going to award teams points for jumping off sides. That was all a little bit comical to me. It seems like that's not exactly what we're trying to accomplish with the sport of football, but Philly's made an identity out of it, and they're good at it, and Buffalo's not, which we can talk about here in a second. The other kind of piece to this game that I want to briefly discuss, because I just thought it blows my mind, quite honestly, is why all of these I can get on board with the 4th downs. I don't love it all the time, but Washington ended up way more on the good for the season going for these 4th downs and eschewing field goals than they did if they just kicked field goals. They paid those off time and time and time again. The 2-point conversions are asinine. It's absolutely ridiculous to me that we're trying to go for 2 in the first quarter to get to a certain score. Like, if you want to tell me you're just going to go for 2 every time because you've got Jaden Daniels who completes 70% of his throws and he can run it in, like, I don't know that I agree with that, but I can understand that philosophy. If you're going to tell me you need to tie the game or get it to set these, and Sirianni was following suit right after that with Dan Quinn going for 2 in the first and second quarter. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You go for 2 in the 4th quarter when you know how many possessions about are left and what it's going to take to either win or tie or whatever the case may be, or how many possessions you need to go ahead. Like, deciding to go for 2 up 8 to try to get it to 10 instead of 9 is ridiculous to me. 9 is really important. That's 2 scores up. Trying to make sure it's 10 because that's a touchdown and a field goal. I just thought that was ridiculous by these 2 guys, and they kept doubling down on it time and time again. I would, again, rather you just go for 2 every time as opposed to trying to tell me that in the first quarter, you know how many points you need to be ahead for what's to come 2.5 hours later. That just seems ridiculous to me to give away points like that, but it's been an aggressive mindset for Washington and Philadelphia from start to finish, and Philadelphia paid it off in the game. I thought they were the better team, and then Washington gave them some fortunate circumstances, and that allowed Philadelphia to make this game a laugher in the 4th quarter. Beck, I'm sure you were watching that. What was the biggest storyline for you in the NFC game?
Yeah, it's hard to not say the turnovers. I mean, it's that you can't expect to give a team like the Eagles 4 extra possessions and think that you're going to have a chance in the game, especially when the Commanders' defense just has not played well this pretty much this whole season, especially in the playoffs. They've kind of gotten by with a good enough offense. So yeah, it's tough, man. But we all thought this was going to happen eventually. Like they were early. Their team is not fully rounded out with good enough players on defense, and honestly, the offensive weapons are not really there. I mean, they've got one very good receiver, and a few other that are solid, but they just need more weapons, and
How
the
about
defense
this?
needs to be better.
And look, candidly, I do not peruse the NFL salary cap situations often. I look at the Saints all the time because we cover them here, but I don't know how the Chargers are looking on the cap. Couldn't tell you. But I looked up Washington yesterday. And I can't swear this to the cent because it's complicated and there are different things that are going to happen over the course of an offseason. But it appears to me that the Commanders have $90 million to spend under the cap. And when I consider that this time every single year the Saints are 50 to 70 million over the cap, you realize how ridiculous that is.
The Saints are currently 50 million over, and the Commanders are 90 under.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
It's
third in the NFL.
$140 million you're talking about. And so the Commanders, who for years, a couple of decades, have been an awful landing spot for free agents because of the ineptitude in the organization and the toxicity at the top, now have a new ownership group, have a hotshot quarterback on a rookie deal, and $90 million to spend in free agency. It's reasonable to suggest that Washington could look a lot different and a lot better next year. They're attractive and they can be aggressive. That's an awesome spot to be in as an organization, and it just rings true to me how far the Saints are away from that.
Yeah, the Commanders need to begin becoming very aggressive now because you've got $90 million right now, but in 4 years you're not going to have that because you're going to have to give Jaden Daniels and one of a top 5 NFL
$400 million contract.
Yeah, it's going to have to be something absurd. So you've got to be aggressive right now. And the fact that the Saints is just
it just shook me when I looked that up yesterday because I was writing a little thing for LouisianaSports.net about okay, it was a great rookie season, what's to come for Jaden, and I saw that number and I was like, that isn't even. I feel like I'm reading Chinese because the Saints are always the number's always bright red and this is black. It's amazing. So it's good spot for the Commanders and a tough Sunday for them in the division. The Eagles will be on to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs beat the Bills by 3 in a phenomenal football game. And I'll be honest with y'all. I loved it. I know that everybody's pulling for the Bills. I know that everybody's sick of the Chiefs. Watching Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes trade haymakers in the second half yesterday was incredible theater. It was incredible. The throws Josh Allen's making for the touchdowns, fitting in those tight windows, the laser focus that he had. Mahomes actually using his legs, which we never see because I guess usually at this point in the calendar his ankle's falling apart, so he's got to sit there with a big tape on his ankle and throw it around, but he was making plays when he had to. And the Chiefs just did what they do. It's not an unsustainable formula. It's not fluky. It just they are so good on defense. Their quarterback makes such good decisions that they're going to be very difficult to beat in the fourth quarter of games. And once again, they were very difficult to beat in the fourth quarter of a game. Certainly, I would like Dalton Kincaid to catch that ball that Josh Allen chucked up to him on the fourth down. I think that's one he catches absolutely 8 out of 10 times. It was a floater that he completely got under. It hit him in both forearms. I know it's cold. I know he's diving. I know it's a pressure play. I think he can catch that ball. And the fact that Josh Allen got that ball to him is one of the most athletic plays I think I've ever seen a quarterback make. James Cook made one of the most athletic things I've ever seen a running back make, staying airborne on that fourth down to get into the end zone for the touchdown. But Josh Allen getting that corner blitz on fourth down, evading it, backing up against his momentum, winging it down the field to an open receiver who was able to make a play on the ball. I don't think there are 4 quarterbacks in the NFL that could have made that play. Mahomes maybe has the arm strength to do it. Herbert maybe has the arm strength to do it. I mean, who am I missing at that point of guys that can throw it off their back foot 35 yards in the air, 40 yards in the air to a receiver that can make a play on it?
Probably, I mean, you could say maybe Anthony Richardson because his arm is just absurd.
Not a terrible
It may
thought.
not be accurate.
I mean,
but
Burrow can't make that play. Hurts can't make that play. C.J. Stroud can't make that play.
Yeah.
there just aren't that many guys that can Jaden certainly can't make that play, that can get that much on that ball, but he did it, and I feel horrible for Josh Allen.
I was texting some guys. I was like, man, you see they showed Josh Allen on the sideline while the Chiefs were kneeling the ball to finish out the game, and he just has this face of dejection, and he's just got to be thinking to himself, if it weren't for 15 and 87 and Andy Reid, like I'd probably have 2 or 3 rings right now. Like it's just unbelievable. Like
it's Barkley vibes. It's like Phil Mickelson, Ernie Els stuff from their time. It's you're just in the wrong point in time.
Yep.
And it's Peyton Manning managed to climb it eventually over Brady, and you feel like Josh Allen's not done. I mean, he's still, but the fact that I didn't know for sure, I looked this up yesterday. Patrick Mahomes is going to play 3 games next year in his 20s. He doesn't turn 30 until late September of next year. So you feel like he's still got, I'll be conservative, like 6 really good years till he's 35. I think he can play quarterback at 35.
It feels like Josh Allen is way younger than Patrick Mahomes. He's only a year younger than him. So like they're almost in the exact same spot in their careers.
I mean, they both may have 9 or 10 years left, but they both certainly got 6 years of really playing at a high level left. And now sign me up for it. I'm good with it.
The only thing I think that may become a factor is whether or not Travis Kelce and Andy Reid stay. Andy Reid may want to retire if he gets
a lot of
smoke
around Kelce.
Yeah, and Kelce as well. So, but we have seen though the constant has been Reid and Mahomes. Like there have been, and Kelce of course, but there's been revolving receivers. The defense has been different, but they just keep. This is
the year you knew they were all going to be there because they're trying to do something no one's ever done.
Yeah.
If they win in 2 weeks, you may see some sunset riding.
Andy
Reid. There are a lot of Hawaiian shirts and cheeseburgers left for Andy Reid to be eaten, and there's some things apparently that Travis Kelce may be able to get into outside of football.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll see how all that goes. But I thought a good day of football. Certainly the fourth quarter of the NFC game got away from Washington, but it was an entertaining game for 3 quarters, and then just a classic, I thought, between the Chiefs and Bills. And I'm okay with the Chiefs winning. They're great to watch to me. I think Mahomes is awesome, and I don't have a dog in that fight. So it was an awesome game. I was hoping the Bills would win. I think that would have been better for New Orleans. But hey, a 3-peat's not a bad storyline to have down here either. So we'll see how all that goes. When we come back, I spent yesterday out at the box. What did I see? We'll let you know next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Tub-to-shower conversions, tub-to-shower conversions, tub-to-shower conversions. They do them all the time. If you've got a big bathtub that's either old and dingy, or maybe it's one of those 90s bathtubs with all the jacuzzis in them and you never use it, take it out. That's a lot of room that you're not using. You could put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower, change the aesthetic of your bathroom, change the functionality of your bathroom, add a little value to your home, just make things look a little nicer. David Duvall and his team are happy to help you with it. If you want some pictures of their great work, go to OneBathAndClosets.com. You will see all the pictures of their great work right there, and you can get the free consultation right there on the homepage. David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out to Mitchell Fisher at Audio Video Security Solutions. All your audio video security needs, they got you covered at Audio Video Security Solutions. You can check them out online at avssla.com, whether it's your audio surround sound entertainment system at home, whether it's your outdoor audio system. If you want to hang a TV outside, spend some time out there in the spring, they can handle that for you at AVSS. And of course, your security systems, cameras, app, burglar alarm, all that, they can do it as well. Great local company, Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out online, avssla.com. Kind of worked myself into a tight window here at the end of the hour to talk a little bit of baseball, but I'll get to what I saw yesterday. As we would expect, Stephen Milam and Michael Braswell are splitting time at shortstop and third base, so much so that they're playing on the same team and they're switching positions halfway through each scrimmage. We saw them do that a few times over the weekend, certainly on Sunday when I was there. They played the first 2 innings. It was Milam at short, Braswell at third, and then they flip-flopped later on. And Milam made one poor throw from shortstop. Jared Jones picked it out. Braswell made a nice play over at third base, showed some range to his left, made a nice play across the diamond. Defense was not good for LSU yesterday, kind of expected in January, quite frankly. Jared Jones mishandled 2 ground balls that were hit pretty sharply. Cade Arambidi at catcher hopped up and threw one down into threw a bunt down into right field. Just kind of some sloppy defensive stuff. I thought from a pitching perspective, Cooper Williams, the freshman left-hander they got, who was initially committed to Texas A&M, Schlossnagle left, and he reopened things and decided to come to LSU. I liked what I saw from him yesterday. Threw a lot of strikes. Fastball was 90 to 93 from the left side. Delivery looks good, so I liked what I saw from Cooper Williams. I mentioned this earlier in the hour. It was the bottom tier of the staff right now as far as expected innings. You saw Cade Woods, saw Dalton Beck, who's a two-way guy from Incarnate Word that pitched a little bit. Dylan Thompson pitched, and then Cooper Williams, as I mentioned. None of those guys right now figure into some really high leverage spots for LSU. It's kind of the lower end of the pitching staff. Saw Tanner Reeves have a big swing, hit a home run to right field. That was good to see. I thought Cade Arambidi had 2 great at-bats yesterday. He had a missile of a line drive. He hit to center field at 107 miles per hour, which was encouraging. He also hit a towering double to left center field that one-hopped the wall. He's had a great offensive first few months at LSU. He had about 360 in the spring and has obviously started off pretty well here. In the fall, and it started off pretty well here in the preseason. His defense needs some work. He had some wild pitches that got by him yesterday, and I mentioned through that bunt down into right field. He's a talented defender, but he's not a polished defender at this point. He is a good hitter. He's hitting like crazy right now, so I think he very much factors into the catcher discussion. Luis Hernandez is very much in that mix as well, and I think is probably the leader right now to be the primary catcher, but there's a long way to go before we get to opening day and certainly to SEC play. So that I enjoyed. Chris Stanfield is a name from Auburn. He was their starting center fielder the majority of last year. He's played really good defense in center field since he got to LSU, and I thought had a couple really nice at-bats in the game on Sunday. He put down a suicide squeeze on a pitch that was way down, and he got it out there and deadened it, which showed some real hand-eye coordination, and then he ripped a single into left field. It was a hard ground ball that got into left field. I think right now he feels like has a good chance to be the starting center fielder. That's certainly not decided. There are some guys that may have something to say about that. Derek Curiel may have something to say about that. Certainly Jake Brown's played a lot of center field in his time. Curiel played left yesterday, and Brown DH'd, but there's a lot of competition in the outfield right now for LSU baseball, and Stanfield had a good day on Sunday. I think that was kind of it, big picture from what we saw. They've still got 3 weeks to get things ironed out. Tomorrow on LouisianaSports.net, I'm going to start a position preview series. So if you're interested in baseball, hadn't checked out our stuff on LouisianaSports.net just yet, please check it out starting tomorrow. I'll have a breakdown of the catcher position, and we'll kind of move through the diamond over the next 11 days or so. So that'll all be coming up on LouisianaSports.net. Shout out to our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products for all your printing, scanning, copying needs. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal. Looking for printer, scanner, copier, no better spot in the state of Louisiana than Gulf Coast Office Products. They bring you our Monday shows each and every week. We got a lot to get to. In hour number 2, we'll step aside from SportsCenter and get to it, and that's coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Call Jonathan Carbo and his team, whether it's property and casualty insurance for your business or potentially it is group or employee benefits. They handle those as well. Highland Insurance Group is an independent agency, small local agency. Customer service there is going to be second to none, and their expertise in the insurance game is fantastic. I had a great conversation with them a couple of weeks ago. They were discussing kind of how they win their business. And oftentimes, if you allow them to look at your insurance policy, go ahead and black out the premium if you want. They don't really care about that. They want to make sure your coverages are what they need to be. And if they're not, they'll let you know about it. You're going to want to make that switch and let Highland Insurance Group be your broker. You should trust your insurance broker like you trust your attorney, like your CPA. You can trust the folks at the Highland Insurance Group for your property and casualty insurance or your group and employee benefits. They're right here in Baton Rouge. You can check them out online at HighlandIG.com. Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. After a 4-month Title IX investigation into allegations of sexual exploitation, sexual harassment, and stalking, the University of Florida's cleared men's basketball coach Todd Golden. In a statement, the school said today no evidence was found and ended the investigation amid the 5th-ranked Seminoles' best start in a decade. The Cowboys today introduced new head coach Brian Schottenheimer, who has never served as a head coach for any NFL team. Owner Jerry Jones said the hire's as big a risk as you can take. Jones likely had one thought process behind the move, says ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark.
If I'm looking at Jerry's hire, here's what I say. Jerry said, okay, I'm not going to be able to win with this team no matter what coach I bring in. This roster isn't good enough. Let me get somebody I like. Let me get somebody that I can push around. Let me get somebody that's not going to push back on the things I want to do to continue to build the brand of the Cowboys.
ESPN's Jeremy Fowler's reporting. Offensive coordinator Todd Monken is finalizing a contract to remain with the Ravens. College basketball tonight. Second-ranked Duke hosts NC State, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN. Blue Devils have won 13 in a row.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon. Coming up Tuesday, the Bills and Commanders were close but couldn't finish the job. I'll tell you what they need to do to get over the hump next season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them for all your printing, scanning, copying needs. Appreciate you starting your work week with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Big week for us here on ESPN Baton Rouge, the morning show guys over in Mobile for the Reese's Senior Bowl. So they'll be bringing you incredible content the rest of the way. I think Walter Nolan was just walking around this morning. They just grabbed him, had him on the show briefly, but they'll have a lot of guys cycling through over the course of the week, and a lot of LSU guys are there. Saw a picture from the symposium early today with Emory Jones was there, Savion Jones was there. So big group of LSU Tigers there in Mobile, and T-Bob, Jake, Ribs, and the entire crew there doing an awesome job over there from Mobile for the Senior Bowl. Interesting story that was released last night, press release from Matt Bauer's Auto Group. If you're not familiar with Matt Bauer's Auto Group, it's based out of New Orleans, got about 12 locations throughout southeast Louisiana. They released a press statement saying that they had partnered with Elijah Haven for a name, image, and likeness deal. Most of you probably know who Elijah Haven is. If you don't, I'll let you know. Elijah Haven is the quarterback over at the Dunham School here in Baton Rouge. He is the 3rd-ranked player in the nation in the sophomore class for football, according to On3. He's also an excellent basketball player, and has actually been here on site to be on After Further Review with Matt Moscona just a couple of months back during football season. Incredible athlete, phenomenal kid by all accounts. I was blown away by his maturity in the interview that he did with Matt Moscona, but he's going to be a big deal here in the next couple of years, and will be able to name where he wants to go to college to play quarterback. LSU is certainly in the mix there as the hometown team, but he'll hear from everybody at this point. He will be a big time recruit. And that's immediately where everybody's mind goes when you start to talk about name, image, and likeness and all that goes into that with high school kids. You just think recruiting, pay for play, because that's essentially what this has turned into over the course of the last 3 years. The press release doesn't have a lot of details here. It basically says the deal is the first of its kind for an athlete. There's a quote from Matt Bowers, who is obviously the CEO of Matt Bowers Auto Group, says Elijah is not only an exceptional athlete, but also as a person who embodies the values of hard work, integrity, and community involvement. We're thrilled to have Elijah on board. He'll be able to support his journey both on and off the field. This partnership is more than just an endorsement. It's about elevating Elijah's voice and using our platform to celebrate his achievements and future potential. The end of it says this partnership with Elijah Haven is part of the company's ongoing effort to foster strong, authentic relationships with athletes, customers, and the communities they serve. So I'm not going to fly off the handle here. I mean, I don't know that this is some massive groundbreaking thing for everyone on the periphery. It's a big deal for Elijah as a sophomore in high school, theoretically, to have some money put in his pocket. That's not something that I did a lot of as a high school sophomore. I was trying to learn how to drive, and that's about it. Not a lot of income coming my way when I was 16 years old. So that's great for Elijah to have that opportunity. I don't know what the Bowers Automotive Group has in mind for this partnership. They don't have a very large presence on social media at this point. It's not like you're plugging him into some massive social media ecosystem. They do some work with New Orleans Football and the Jordy Culotta Show. They've done a lot of advertising, obviously, as an auto group. If you remember, Matt Bowers Auto Group famously, after the Nola no call, put up all these billboards around New Orleans saying the Saints got robbed and a blown call with EAUX, and he made kind of a big deal out of that. He's a marketer, Matt Bowers is, and as a lot of auto dealers are. So you figure he's got a lot of commercials. If he wants to put Elijah Haven in them, more power to him, I guess. I'm just not sure how big a platform presence Elijah Haven has currently as someone who's going to move a lot of vehicles. Now, on the other side of that, I'm talking about it right now, and I've never once mentioned the Matt Bowers Auto Group, and I'm doing a whole segment on it. So in that perspective, it does make some sense there. I guess in this case, any press is good press. Most of you that are listening to me pull for LSU. Ipso facto, most of you that are listening to me despise Ole Miss. And part of this story is certainly that Elijah Haven joining forces with Matt Bowers Auto Group means he is certainly entering a relationship with Matt Bowers, who, by the way, is an Ole Miss alum and booster. So that is part of this story. What we've learned from name, image, and likeness stories is that business owners with attachments to universities are helping collectives and student athletes make money. That is part of the ecosystem that has been created when name, image, and likeness went into existence. And when the state of Louisiana in 2022 followed suit and said high school kids could be paid, this door became open. Does it mean that now Elijah Haven's being brainwashed by an Ole Miss booster with thousands of dollars over the course of 2 years to get him to see Lane Kiffin and go love the Ole Miss Rebels and make another movie about the Blind Side? That's not necessarily what this has to mean. But it's a relevant talking point, in my opinion, that Matt Bowers went to Ole Miss and likes Ole Miss, and that the number one player in the state of Louisiana, one of the top 5 players in the country, is now on the payroll. Maybe it's just out of the goodwill of his heart. He just thinks that this is a young man who's great, and I've got a relationship with his father, and we'd like to have him be a representative of our dealership on commercials, and maybe he thinks that's the best way to sell cars. Maybe there's an ulterior motive. I don't know Matt Bowers, and I can't speak to any of that. I think that most LSU fans will look at this and fly off the handle and go, oh, my God, Ole Miss alum, this is a disaster. He's going to go to play for Lane Kiffin. They're just cheating. Like, that's probably going to be the overwhelming response from LSU fans. I tweeted last night on the press release, I got a chuckle out of the fact that Ole Miss was listed first among the schools that Elijah Haven had a scholarship offer, said Ole Miss, then LSU. I thought that was funny, and I tweeted out, what a coincidence. But I think this is difficult for me to understand from a true marketing perspective, and because of that, it creates some skepticism. But I also have to point out that we're about to enter in 2.5 months a revenue-sharing world where the NIL game shifts a little bit, and there's going to be a clearinghouse that has to okay the monetary value of NIL deals, and you're going to have to work for the money that you bring in. And it's going to be a non-biased third party that's evaluating all these deals. So ultimately, you'll have to take this to the clearinghouse and say, hey, here's an NIL deal. Here's what we're going to pay him. Here's what he's going to do. And then the folks from Deloitte will look at that and go, okay, that's good. Or they'll go, no, that's not the way this has to work. The other part of that is that's currently not the process. So there's nothing stopping Matt Bowers from giving Elijah Haven $4 million right now as a sophomore in high school to be the spokesperson for the dealership. Doesn't have to be cleared. And there's thought that you need to get out in front of that and make that happen. I would be shocked if that's actually what's going on here. If you want my honest opinion about this entire thing, here's what I think is happening. And let me be very clear. Let me be abundantly clear. I don't know any of this. I don't know Elijah Haven. I don't know his dad. I don't know Matt Bowers. I don't know what's involved in any of this. This is my opinion from far out. I believe that Matt Bowers is a really good marketer and businessman. I believe this generating attention for his dealerships is a good thing just in terms of name recognition. I think, as he has tweeted out, he's got a relationship with the Haven family. I think he thinks that this is a young man that's going to be a big deal in South Louisiana, and he'd like to get in the door early. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that we're making this and having this relationship, and we'll see if he thinks Ole Miss is a good place to go take a visit. That's my opinion. I don't think he's funneling cash directly to Elijah Haven by the truckload just to get him to Oxford. I don't think in his heart of hearts he really believes this is going to be a massive win for his business selling a lot of trucks. I think it's an opportunity to do a little bit of marketing for probably not a massive price tag. That's my opinion on this from the way outside. Candidly, as I always tell y'all, my interest is in LSU. Would I rather Elijah Haven have a relationship with an LSU alum car dealer? I would. Hand up. Yep, would definitely. Do I think this makes him a slam dunk to go to Ole Miss? I don't. I think that's probably stepping just a touch over where we are in reality. You want to take this information and never buy another car from Matt Bowers Auto Group? Fine. If you're an Ole Miss fan listening, you can't wait to get down there and buy another one and tell them thanks for making this happen. Fine by me as well. I'm just here to analyze the situation. Elijah Haven's going to have a lot of phenomenal opportunities because of his talent and the way that he represents himself. And he showed that in this studio a couple of months ago when he sat down with Matt Moscona. I think is an awesome football player. It appears that he's a wonderful kid. And this is a great opportunity for him because of the hard work that he's put in and the talent that he's got. I don't think it's got to be something where we all just absolutely gnashing our teeth and moaning and bemoaning the entire process. I'm not there with this right now. Show me some other information and maybe I get there. I think that this is just something that's going to create a little bit of a blip on the social media world, and we'll probably not think about it a ton moving forward. We'll see. Maybe I'm dead wrong, but that's where I'm sitting right now as we kind of look at things. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. We got a long way to go, so hang out with us. Coming back with a little bit more. LSU got a lot of Pro Bowl flavor, and they added one more today. I'm going to talk about the incredible run that these LSU football players have been on in the National Football League. We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online. Every car that's online, it's on the lot at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. When I say Genesis Baton Rouge, you should think luxury vehicle. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. When I say luxury vehicle, you probably think a couple of things. One, there are some brands that probably come to mind. One, that, I can't afford that. Well, why don't you take a look? Because you'd probably be surprised. When you get behind the wheel of a Genesis, you'll know. It's got all the bells and whistles you could want. It's stylish. It's comfortable. The drive is incredibly smooth. And it's got incredible safety features. It's also at a reasonable price. Go on by and see them at Airline at PICU, right across from Women's Hospital, and just experience it for yourself. Go see their first-class dealership. Go work with their incredible team and get behind the wheel of this entire line. From the sedans all the way up to the SUV, they are first class. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, and you can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Obviously, the LSU Fighting Tigers in the NFL would like to be preparing for a Super Bowl. But the next best thing is to be headed to the Pro Bowl. It means you've had a phenomenal season, and LSU was very, very much front and center in the Pro Bowl in the regular season this year, and that got enhanced today. We already knew that Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels at quarterback were headed to the Pro Bowl. We already knew that Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Brian Thomas were headed to the Pro Bowl. We already knew Daniil Hunter on the defensive side, as well as Derek Stingley Jr. were headed to the Pro Bowl. And today, because Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions has opted out because of an injury, Malik Neighbors joined that number 8 Tigers headed to the Pro Bowl games. coming up this week. I think most of you are aware the Pro Bowl no longer exists in its other form. They now play flag football and do skills competitions over the course of a couple of days in Orlando at Camping World Stadium. Not quite what it once was down in Hawaii where it was a big event, but that's probably for the best because you really didn't need guys playing a fake football game anyway. And so they try to make some fun out of it, and LSU will certainly be very, very well represented in this game. Malik Neighbors had a ridiculous rookie season, especially when you put into context how terrible the quarterback play was for the Giants. It was so bad that we had to cut guys mid-season. Daniel Jones is being shipped on. It was just a disaster. And still, Malik Neighbors, who was a 6th overall pick in the draft, made 106 catches. That's the most ever by a rookie wide receiver. He was the fastest player ever to 100 career catches. Oh, whose record did he break there? Odell Beckham Jr., who went to LSU. And he set the Giants' record for single-season receptions. He was awesome in an inept offense. And I think this is very, very well deserved for him to get this honor. You look at the guys he'll be joining. You look at Malik Neighbors. You look at Jamar Chase. You look at Brian Thomas. You look at Justin Jefferson. You look at Derek Stingley. That's 5 guys from South Louisiana who went to LSU that are at the Pro Bowl. You add in Danielle Hunter, obviously from Houston, and you add in Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, who you picked up in the transfer portal at quarterback. But it's just been another piece to this incredible run that LSU has been on. I was hopeful that Jaden could pay it off by making the Super Bowl and being the first rookie to ever start a Super Bowl, because I candidly love adding on to this list that has kind of been going since 2019, where you've got the best team in college football history and the Heisman Trophy winner, and you won that year the Thorpe Award, and you won the Biletnikoff Award, and you won Coach of the Year. And then a couple of years later, you have 2 national championships with the women's basketball team and Angel Reese and all that she's done with Livy Dunn and the gymnastics team and that. And then you got Flaugier and her social media. And then you look up and then there's Jaden Daniels, who's winning the Heisman Trophy just after Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz had taken LSU to a national championship. And you went ahead and got the Golden Spikes Award, National Pitcher of the Year, first pick in the draft, second pick in the draft. Paul Skeens comes up, starts the All-Star game as a rookie, and like, all of this stuff continues to happen. And for LSU to have 8 Pro Bowlers, to have the NFL's leading passer in Burrow in terms of yards and touchdowns, to have Jaden Daniels, who's the first rookie quarterback in the history of the league to win 10 games and account for over 4,000 yards and do all the things that he did, where people are saying he's the best rookie quarterback in the history of the sport, and he could have cemented that by going to the Super Bowl. But you also had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, who were 1-2 in the NFL in receiving yards. You had Brian Thomas at 3rd. And frankly, like, Malik Neighbors would have been there if he didn't get that concussion and missed 2 games. You would have looked at him as probably the 4th or 5th leading receiver in the NFL. You could have had 4 of the top 5 in the NFL from LSU. Like, it's just remarkable, the heater that LSU has been on. And they have paid it off with championships. You won a football championship in 19. You won baseball and women's basketball. You've got a gymnastics title as well. Like, you've not only done it on an individual level, you've paid it off from a team perspective as well. And then these guys have gone to the next level, and Skeens has just dominated. Paul Skeens is the favorite to win NL Cy Young. He's the youngest since they started posting odds on that to be the favorite to win the Cy Young preseason. And you look at this, and you're going to have the Rookie of the Year in Jaden Daniels, and you'll have Brock Bowers get some love there. But Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are going to finish in the top 5, maybe in the top 4 in terms of Rookie of the Year. You might have 3 of the top 4 rookies in football. And I realize when I say that everyone's visceral reaction is just, oh, Matt House defense stinks. Come on. And that's not wrong. Like, that's not the wrong attitude to have. You had a quarterback who was on another level and 2 stud wide receivers who are both going to the Pro Bowl, and they've been in the NFL for 8 months. It's reasonable to suggest that group should have achieved more. But you didn't, because you didn't put the right defensive staff or personnel together. I'm not really here to talk about that today. I'm more so here to celebrate just how awesome this representation is for LSU to have 8 players in the Pro Bowl games. And you thought that maybe you were ushering out kind of an era there with Patrick Peterson and Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry and Andrew Whitworth kind of being the face of LSU in the NFL, which is a respectable face. That's not bad. Patrick Peterson and Andrew Whitworth are going to go to the Hall of Fame. But you've got a new wave that's coming up. All of these guys under 30 years old, outside of Daniil, who I don't know, haven't looked up. But everybody else under 30 years old and has some runway to go here. And hopefully you can see those guys playing in Super Bowls, winning MVPs, doing some of those things. Not going to be the case this year, but for them to get the recognition of being in the Pro Bowl, a really, really cool deal. If you're interested, Pro Bowl cranks up the Pro Bowl games. I keep saying the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl games is what they are now called. They crank up on Thursday, and you'll see flag football and skills competitions, the quarterbacks throwing things, wide receivers running routes and doing those kind of things. It's not necessarily the first thing that my eyes are drawn to from a television perspective, but there are so many that are football junkies that'll just do it no matter what. So that's coming up on Thursday, and you'll have a lot of LSU Tigers to pay attention to if you go ahead and check that out coming up starting Thursday through Sunday in Orlando. So wanted to get to that. There's a lot going on right now at LouisianaSports.net. If you want to pull it up, I've got a piece up about how Trey'Dez Green can help LSU basketball. Marler's got his SEC basketball power rankings up, but also Ross Jackson is down at the Super Bowl. That would be the Senior Bowl in Mobile. He's got a little bit of piece up on some senior quarterbacks the Saints could potentially be looking at. Jackson Dart is the picture on that, so that's probably where things will start. Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore reported to be interviewed today, so that will be news if and when it does happen. LSU women's basketball in the AP poll. Baseball America picking LSU second in the preseason poll. And then you've got my preseason scrimmage report from the baseball side of things. So look, it's got you covered every which way. You got the Senior Bowl, you got the Saints, you got coaching search, you got LSU basketball, got LSU baseball, got some Pro Bowl talk with football as well. If you're a Louisiana sports fan, love the Saints, love LSU, love to follow the SEC, we got you covered over there at LouisianaSports.net. All right, let's step aside. We still got a little over half an hour to go on a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Closets may not be something you think about all the time, but you should, because I had a pretty poor closet situation in the old residence. My wife, fiance at the time, moved in. She was like, this is awful. And I never even thought about it. But she was like, we got to do something about this. And what we did was move. But you don't have to move. We didn't just move for closet space. We're having another kid, so we need a little bit more room. But you don't have to move to get more closet space. You can have David Duvall and his team come in and customize a closet to your specifications. You need more room. You need less room. You got a ton of shoes. You wear a suit to work every day. All things that you can consider when putting together your closet situation. And David Duvall is going to put it together, customized to your specs, and it's going to be gorgeous. And I can promise you this, they're not going to do it as quickly as possible to get to the next job. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Check out pictures of their fantastic work at OneBathAndClosets.com. You can get that free consultation. That doesn't cost you anything. Free consultation. Check them out at OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
L'Auberge Casino Hotel in Baton Rouge brings you live coverage of the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. Our team of T-Bob Aber and Jacob Hester host Off the Bench live from Mobile. Start today all the way through this Thursday, January 30th, where you can listen on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and watch on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. We've also got a Citizens Bank and Trust car payments for a year coming up here soon to help cover your car payments. It's $5,000 for the grand prize with a bonus chance to win free car washes from Benny's Car Wash for 6 months. We're also letting you earn extra entries by subscribing to our LouisianaSports.net daily newsletter that Mr. Hunt Palmer, of course, is involved in. To sign up, visit 1045ESPN.com.
Speaking of LaBerge, I can say this at this point. I will be out there pregame for the Super Bowl. Looking forward to it. Probably from 3 to 5 is what it sounds like, hanging out there at LaBerge. Kickoff is at 5:30 our time.
For the big game, Hunt?
Oh, sorry, yeah, the big game. Apologies
come on,
for that.
Hunt.
Here
Careful.
comes the FCC. But yeah, I'll be out there for the big game in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to I was out at LaBerge on Saturday night. Brought a margarita tower.
I saw that. I saw that picture on Twitter.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
It was. I had one. I had to write the post game for basketball, so I didn't hammer the whole tower of margarita. But I did enjoy a margarita out of the tower. That's a new one. I've seen beer towers many times over the years. I actually have had a few beer towers at LaBerge inside ESPN Bet because on Thursdays they're half off and you can get 9 beers for $11. That's a good deal.
It is.
The margarita pitcher, candidly, I didn't pay for that. They brought that over for us as kind of a thanks for being there. And I had one. It was very tasty. But you want a margarita tower? Available at ESPN Bet.
That's a lot. That's a lot for especially for maybe even just for 2 people. That's a lot of alcohol.
I chuckled at Rivers. She had a Facebook post for her birthday, and she said somehow at 37 I've managed to have a standing appointment on Fridays for 1.7 margaritas because you got to know your limits. It's there's just no way I'm leaving 0.3 margarita left in the cup. That's gonna get drank.
Absolutely can't leave that.
But if she knows that's her limit, good for her.
Fair enough.
Let's check out ESPN.com. Story up, as you would expect, just a week after the national championship game from Bill Connolly, where he says that he's going to do the bracket for next year's college football playoff. Because why wouldn't you do that in January of 2025 for December of 2025 into January of 2026? And I realize this is not news you'll feel the same way I do. So it's an understood statement that I'm going to make, but it is different than really any point ever in my life. LSU has to make the playoff next year. Like, you got to make the playoff. I guess I shouldn't say you have to, because it doesn't mean that like there's going to be massive sweeping changes in the football program if you come up a game short or something. But like that's the goal. You got to make the playoffs. And that can be the case in basketball with the NCAA tournament. It can be the case with baseball in the NCAA tournament or Super Regional or Omaha. Like, we say that before a season a lot of times with like men's basketball. Like, you need to make the tournament this year. We say that a lot with baseball. Like, you got to get to Omaha. And like that conversation doesn't happen as much, or has not happened as much from a football perspective. Like, you have to make the national championship game. Like, I've never heard anybody say that in September, in August. Like, they say it in Tuscaloosa when Saban's there. It's failure if you don't make the national championship game. I think for LSU, I just haven't heard that a lot. Maybe with the 14 playoff, you need to make the playoff, but not a lot of folks in a 14 playoff era are getting fired for going 10-2 like that. And you're not going to get in at 10-2, but not a lot of people getting fired for that. And this is not a fire Brian Kelly comment, not even close to that. But it's because you've swelled this thing. This was our first chance to look at it. You were coming off the worst defense in school history. I think a lot of people hoped that LSU could make the playoff this past year. I think there are probably a lot of fans that said, yeah, we'll make the playoff. 10-2. That's a 10-2 team. They'll be in. But that's the way fans operate. But this time it feels different. Like, this is year 4 of Brian Kelly. You feel like your offense is on sturdy footing. You've gone to the transfer portal and tried to shore up your defense with a lot of Power 5 starters. Like, it's shifted the perspective. And so I took the opportunity here to go outside of our little bubble here. I like to go outside the bubble sometimes. I like it in the bubble. The bubble's nice. It's purple and gold. A lot of people agree with each other in the bubble. It's a comfortable place to be. But outside the bubble, you may get a dose of reality from time to time. And so I like to go outside the bubble every once in a while and see what people were saying. Well, we look at Mark Schlabach's rankings for next year, and he's got LSU in the playoff. He's got LSU as the 9 seed. In that instance, they're at Oregon in the first round, and then they would move on to play Ohio State in the second round. That would be quite difficult. I feel like Ohio State's probably losing some talent. I know Dylan Gabriel's moving on at Oregon, and I'm not sure what's next over there. And I can't speak to those rosters exactly. I've got a sense that at Oregon and then number 1 Ohio State, probably not the greatest draw. But you'd be in. And trust me, and I mean this when I say it, LSU going to Autzen Stadium to play in a playoff game, to me, is really cool. It's intimidating, but it's really cool. In the exact same way that Oregon playing in Death Valley on a Friday or Saturday night in December with a playoff on the line is awesome. And I would think that was great. That's looking at things through Schlabach's rankings. Now, Bill Connolly went further, and he extrapolated things out personally and went on to put together a different playoff. And in he put Georgia as the SEC champion. And then he went to the SEC teams he thought would make it. Second on this list, and this is, I quote Connolly in this story, I had to make sure at least 3 more SEC teams got in because I don't want the league demanding even more automatic bids moving forward. Texas is an obvious pick. The Longhorns are going to be outstanding. But the main candidates for the other 2 spots, LSU, South Carolina, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, A&M, and Ole Miss, Texas doesn't play those teams outside of Florida and A&M, so that's why he feels good about Texas. So that's the second SEC team in. Third, LSU. Why? Because Garrett Nussmeier to Aaron Anderson is a proven pass combination. Brian Kelly's seemingly done an excellent job in the transfer portal this time. And the odds of a second-year leap for defensive coordinator Blake Baker with linebackers Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins Jr. returning are solid. So right now, Bill Connolly, who's really an analytics guy, thinks that LSU is right there slotted behind Georgia and Texas. He also put Alabama in. He says, I'm giving Kalen DeBoer a mulligan. The Crimson Tide suffered a couple of statistically fluky losses while stumbling to 9-4 this past season. They averaged 6 yards of play against Vanderbilt and Michigan and allowed 4.3, but they fell in both games. And though the Bama offense cratered late in the season, DeBoer's offensive track record is strong, and he was working with inherited personnel. Bama's going to have an experienced quarterback. an inexperienced, I was about to say, that doesn't sound right, an inexperienced quarterback in 2025, but everyone should understand that each other a bit more, and the talent levels will be so ridiculously high, that'll give the Tide the edge over a Florida team with another brutal schedule, a Tennessee team with a rebuilding offense, an A&M team with a rebuilding defense, as well as a fully rebuilding Ole Miss. So that's a lot of words to get through with this story, but the point is that he feels like LSU is right there in the conversation with Georgia, Texas, and Bama as playoff teams. And in this scenario, and go back to my comment about LSU playing at Autzen Stadium or Oregon coming to LSU, in this scenario where LSU gets the 10 seed, they're at Notre Dame in the first round of the playoffs. Folks, if I can't sign you up for that one, I don't know what I can sign you up for. That is so tasty. In the other matchups, he's got Boise State, Alabama. I can pass that easily. Notre Dame, North Carolina at Texas in a fake Mac Brown Bowl, I guess, there. But that, as he mentions, would be Bill Belichick against Arch Manning. So Belichick versus Manning, something we saw in the AFC for a lot of years. You would have it in the CFB. And then at 9 and 8, he has a lot of fun here with Ohio State at Michigan. I feel like we got scarred a little bit because of Boise, Indiana, and Arizona State. And we felt like that we were getting shortchanged and we wanted the brands. Maybe there are some of you that think I'm an idiot and fully agree with Hester, and you're all about seeing some of these teams get their swing on the national stage. And I'm not advocating letting a 3-loss Ole Miss or Alabama in the playoff. I just want the big brands to win enough games to get in, because I want to see LSU at Notre Dame. I want to see Ohio State at Michigan. I love the fact that Tennessee went to Ohio State and that Clemson went to Austin. That's the kind of stuff we want to see. In this simulation, he's got Georgia, Penn State, Utah, and Louisville with auto buys in. They've got, obviously, Georgia winning the SEC, Penn State winning the Big Ten, which is ambitious, Utah winning the Big 12, I guess it is, and then Louisville winning the ACC. I don't even know all the conferences off the top of my head there. And so that, Utah and Louisville, I don't think are moving a lot of people's needles there. But if you can get some of these big brands in that first round, that's so cool. And so in these two situations, both Schlabach and Connolly believe LSU is a playoff team. Neither has them winning the SEC. Both have them traveling to big-time brands in the first round. And that's just a step right now that LSU's program has to take, and that I cannot wait until it does take. At some point, LSU's going to get in this playoff. It's too good a program, too good of a brand name to completely crater and miss this thing for 10 straight years. Like, they're going to get there at some point or another. But I think we're all in agreement as you look at this, like, it's got to happen. And that's the sentiment from down here. Again, I just kind of like to go outside the bubble and look and see what the national folks think. And that's two, with no ties to LSU at all, that would suggest LSU is going to make it into the college football playoff next year. Incidentally, Schlabach, as I mentioned, had LSU at number 8 in his preseason rankings, and then had an outlook that said that the Tigers lost at least 3 games for the 3rd straight season under Brian Kelly. They seem to be all in heading to 2025. Then he lists a lot of the great transfers that LSU pulled in, and then mentions Nussmeier threw for 4,043 yards with 29 touchdowns this past season, and his return might give LSU an edge over other SEC contenders. Rebuilding the offensive line and shoring up a defense that surrendered 24 points per game will be areas of focus in the offseason. It has to be better in 2025, right? I guess it didn't have to be better in 2025, but we're all hopeful that it is better in 2025. And if it is better by 2 games, you're talking about a playoff team, and that's the goal around here. And we'll certainly be talking about it over the next 9 months. Let's take a time out, come back, and close things out. It is a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is the website. I contemplated whether or not to tell this story, and I decided I'm going to do it. Because it just shows my complete ineptitude. We were watching TV on Saturday in the Palmer house, a TV that was installed and hung up by Audio Video Security Solutions, and we looked up from playing with dinosaurs with Myers or whatever, and the TV was off, and I couldn't get it to turn on with the remote controls. So I called Mitchell. It's like, hey, man, My television won't turn on. He's like, well, he walked me through a couple things to look at on the TV. He's like, okay, wait, then you got to go throw the breaker on. And I went back, and it's a house that we have lived in for 11 months, and none of the fuses have ever blown. Well, one did, so I just flipped it back on. I'm an idiot. We already know that. But the point of the story is the customer service was good. I didn't know what to do. I called Audio Video Security Solutions. I have Mitchell Fisher's cell phone. He fixed it in 40 seconds. So that's the kind of customer service you're getting at Audio Video Security Solution. They're online at avssla.com, and they're on Instagram at avss_BR. It's Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions, online at avssla.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is your home for the New Orleans Pelicans. Tune in as the Pelicans hit the road to face the Raptors tonight at 6:30. Then they'll host the Mavs Wednesday at 7 p.m. And then the Celtics on Friday at 7 p.m. All those games are here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So your brother's not impressed with my mechanical ability?
That's not a mechanical ability, Hunt. That's just a pretty basic, thing that happens to houses.
I didn't even know where the fuse box was in the house.
How did you find it?
I had to ask Alyssa. She knew where it was. I just walked over there. I could identify the fuse that was needed to be flipped.
Okay, that's good.
And television popped right on.
Wow.
We thought we might have to buy a new TV, which is going to be a bummer. But
it would have been really funny if you had done that, honestly.
We don't want that. We were searching for prices, though. And we called Mitchell, and he fixed it in 20 seconds.
Oh.
'Cause that's look, you got to know your limitations. My limitations are pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got someone to help you do anything in the world, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, you can swing a golf club. You can talk about you can talk about sports for the most part
sometimes,
and you can do basic functions that almost all humans can do.
I can cook a chicken breast on the stove.
You can make a gumbo.
I can make gumbo. My gumbo's good. I'm a terrible cook. The gumbo's good. There's no doubt. But I don't know how to fix electronic stuff ever.
You don't know how to fix anything, Hunt. Let's just be honest here.
Is there anything I can fix?
You can maybe, let's see. You could fix probably No, you couldn't do that.
Oh, man.
There's nothing really related to golf that I think you could fix, even though you are not avid golfer.
I can fix a divot on the green. If I hit the green with a wedge,
you can repair,
I can fix a divot.
You can repair a pitch mark. You can do that.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
My dad told me once upon a time that the key early on in marriage is to make sure you screw up 4 or 5 very easy tasks. And at that point, the woman will never ask you to do it again because she knows you're incapable and you're off the hook for like 35 or 40 years.
Wow.
I don't know that I did that intentionally, but I just don't there's no other gear. I don't have to fake it. I just can't do it.
Yeah, you're not even faking it. You just legitimately can't do it. So it's not even like a play like as your dad is saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just I can't do anything. It just is what it is. Sometimes you got to understand
know your
who
role.
you are.
Know your role.
And I'm here.
Know who you
and
are.
And what we do here, because of this ineptitude, we keep the economy moving.
Yes.
I got to have somebody come cut the grass. That person cuts the grass. They patronize Gulf Coast Office Products for their printing, scanning, copying needs. They sponsor the show, and the world goes round and round. I need somebody to handle my televisions. Mitchell does it. He can turn around and sponsor the show. You got to keep the economy moving. If you do everything yourself and you don't pay anybody anything, how are we supposed to get this thing moving?
That's a really good point, Hunt. You make a great point.
See? I make a lot of great points.
Oh, yeah, wait. That's
Hunt, I think it's a great observation.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate that very much. Let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, first one here. Tennessee women's basketball coach Kim Caldwell will return to the sidelines just 1 week after giving birth to a son. Take it or leave it.
I sent that right to my wife. Said, look, she's back to work after a week. Okay? So let's just keep that filed away for when March rolls around and we have a new one. I think 4 or 5 days, you get back to the job.
Yeah, I mean, this is
those diapers aren't paying for themselves. I'll tell you that.
This is a stressful job that she is a coach of a basketball team. There's a lot of stress and pressure that goes with that. It's a very pressure-filled job. There's no room for error there. So I'm pretty sure, your wife's job is not. It's probably as stressful as this.
Oh no, she's just taking care of the youth of our area and their ears, noses, and throats.
Yeah.
So not a big deal. I think she can get back to work pretty quickly. I did send her that. I'm curious to see if she's responded to that. See if I need to contact my attorney from a few years ago. It appears, based on the response, that she will not be going back to work after 1 week.
Okay,
is what it appeared.
Well, maybe 2 weeks.
I was reading some context. It could be, but we've at least got a baseline set now. Tennessee's women's basketball coach back to work after like 6 days. Just file that away.
Yeah. All right, next one. Kelvin Shepard, former LSU Tiger, named the new Lions defensive coordinator with Aaron Glenn leaving to take the Jets job. Shepard will be a head coach in the next 6 years. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That's just a natural progression. Most guys move up one way or another. He's got to continue doing some really good things. They've got great personnel, and I think if it drops off significantly, that would be a tough spot for him. But I don't want to think that way. I want to think that's an awesome thing for a former Tiger. I saw that. We posted on LouisianaSports.net, and then I sent that to Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite, who both played with him, who I work with every Saturday in the fall, and they were fired up about it. That's awesome.
All right, next one here. The rise of Vanderbilt sports continues, Hunt. The women's and men's basketball teams both entered the AP Top 25 this week, getting some nice wins in conference play. That's the first time both teams were ranked since 2011. Anchor down. Take it or leave it.
Take it. They're playing great. That was a heck of a win for them back on Saturday against a good Kentucky team. Mark Byington's done a great job getting those guys ready to play. I don't know anything about their women's team at all, but I know that their men's team is not the most talented team in the conference, but they've been coached really well, and they outlasted Kentucky on Saturday. It was a tight game, but they played great.
All right, last one here, Hunt. The Cubbies made a blockbuster move over the weekend.
God.
Trading for Astros 36-year-old closer Ryan Presley. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Leave it alone.
He's old. He's lost a mile per hour off his fastball. His ERA has been 3.5 the last couple of years. They traded for Josh Hader to move him out of the closer role. He's expensive, although the Astros are taking $5.5 million of it. It's not a very encouraging move to me. I think he's an average reliever that we're now paying like $7 million.
Yeah, why are we making these moves, Cubs? We have money. We don't need to be the Oakland A's and taking players that are their former team are paying for.
I believe you're
looking
for the San Jose A's.
Sorry, yes.
Or the
yeah.
I wonder what they're going to go by. They may just go by the Athletics.
The Athletics, yeah. I think that's what I saw.
Wow,
what a team.
That makes me so sad.
What an organization.
Are they going to Sacramento or San Jose?
Sacramento.
Sacramento?
Yes, the great city of Sacramento. Really, really great baseball town. Yeah. For the foreseeable future.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, I'm bummed. Was planning on going to see some baseball today. Forgot. Myers Man has swim lessons.
Oh.
He's excited about it. Last week he's had them for a while.
Okay.
He likes it. But we tried goggles last week for the first time because all the other kids had goggles.
No go?
Oh, he likes the goggles.
Oh, all right.
He wears the goggles all the time. He wore them in the car to school today and didn't want to take them off to go to school. Said, we're going to put them in the car seat. When I pick you up, you'll have the goggles to go to swim lessons, not to go play on the playground. So, yeah, no baseball for me tonight. We'll be doing swim lessons. But I'm hopeful to have a little bit more baseball content coming over the course of the next week. I'm starting my baseball position previews on LouisianaSports.net tomorrow. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Talked a lot of conference championship games, Saints coaching search, LSU football, Pro Bowl, all that's on demand. Matt's going to drive you home next. We'll get on down the road. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana. You may never have been by Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's on Airline Highway, which you've probably been on a number of times, but it's right there off Piku, and they've only been there for about 2 years now. So if you've never had an opportunity to head over to Genesis of Baton Rouge, highly recommend you go check it out. The dealership is first class in every way. It's an incredible ambiance. It's clean. It's comfortable. The Wi-Fi is great. It's a great place to sit and have a cup of coffee if you're getting some work done while they're servicing your vehicle. It's a great place to go and buy a car. But if you don't want to go buy a car on the lot, you can do it online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. They do digital delivery. They do e-contracts. All of that is available at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go see them at Airline near Piku or start that shopping process online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge.